Yes, it is a victory for him, Bev, but let's remember that this is the first time that Erdogan has had to face a runoff election. So he's never been pushed this far. And he did win, but with 52% of the vote. So this is a country which is not fully behind Erdogan. There are a lot of support for the opposition. And remember that he won this victory while having effectively control almost over all of the state, over all of the media. That even independent media has pretty much had to bow to the government in recent years. So it wasn't exactly a level playing field. It's not to deny he won, but it is to say that he had sort of stacked the deck a bit. And that's what we have to keep in mind is what we now face after the election, especially Turkey's economic problems, where you've got an inflation rate of more than 80% and a currency which is sinking rapidly, and real issues about the long-term stability of the country.
Yeah. And to your point, he stacked the deck, controlling 90% of the media. His opponent says it's the most unfair election in history. Yet the country remains divided. He doesn't seem to signal that he has an intention to unite this country.
No, I mean, the signal that's coming out from the Erdogan camp today is this is the strong man. You need to unite behind the strong man. And indeed, that's been Erdogan's secret to remaining in office, to take control of the media, to take control of the public space. Turkey, for example, is the world's largest captor of journalists and of other activists. And he's done that in terms of foreign policy, which is the idea of I'm the guy that can deal with Putin, I can deal with NATO, I can deal with Biden. How much of Turkey wants to buy into that strongman image, especially, again, if there are economic problems? That's the opening question that we'll have for the rest of this year.
Yeah. Does he have any solution to the country's, as you say, considerable economic challenges?
I mean, one solution, Bev, would have been in recent years, which is to go to the economic specialist, to actually talk about dealing with some very long-term issues that have been there regarding Turkey's investment platform, regarding its manufacturing base, regarding the balance between rural and urban. But Erdogan has closed off a lot of that economic community, put them on the sidelines while putting his cronies into key economic positions. And we have to mention this, there is a serious issue with corruption, some of which is allegedly tied with Erdogan and his family. And as long as that issue of corruption is there, that stands in the way of any type of economic approach, sensible economic approach in the months to come.
Yeah. And the earthquake victims who he has promised much to, what are the chances of delivering on that rebuilding, of ensuring that those standards are in place that his government has overseen to the terrible detriment of human life and community?
Well, an important context to this, Beth. A lot of the devastation and the damage that we saw was because of poor building standards and was because of corruption in Turkey preceding that earthquake. But, and it's a huge but, Erdogan and the AKP were still able to win a lot of support in those earthquake-struck areas. They controlled the levers of saying, we will, are the people who will deliver for you. Can they deliver? That's a really huge question. I wouldn't want to predict this. But what I would say here is it just adds another layer of uncertainty to what we're looking at.
Scott, I'm really interested in your opinions on, his role as a significant international player. No doubt Vladimir Putin today will be delighted that he won.
Well, Vladimir Putin's already congratulated him. He was one of the first who said, this is a tribute to your strong leadership. And that's because Putin needs Turkey. He needs Turkey to try to give him some type of political cover in the midst of the failing invasion of Ukraine. But Erdogan also was welcomed very quickly by Iran. Now, why does Iran want Turkey? They want to balance against the US, Europe, other countries amidst the ongoing issues over Iran's nuclear programs and its uncertain position at home. And Erdogan was welcomed by a lot of Arab states, again, because they want him on their side with their Middle Eastern issues. And that, again, is one of the secrets to Erdogan still being there, is he makes himself needed to people because of Turkey's geographic position and because it is still quite a large economic potential power. And the idea here is that Turkey can play off, or Erdogan can play off Putin, Iran, the Middle East, against, of course, NATO, where Turkey still remains a member.
Which is ironic, given, of course, it's standing in the way currently of NATO partnerships developing. Of course, Finland got through, but they are certainly holding up Sweden's application.
I would watch very carefully whether they now lift that bar on this. It was very interesting in that in the run-up to the election, that balance was precisely to say, okay, we're letting the Finns in, we're still a good partner here. Now, how much does Erdogan say we're still a good partner and say the Swedes can come in, or how much does he use the Swedes as leverage over, and here's the other issue we haven't mentioned, the Kurdish issue. And that is Erdogan continuing to repress, close off space for Kurds inside the country, continues to want to control part of neighboring Syria, and threatens the Kurds there. So how much does Erdogan play cooperative, both in terms of the specific NATO issue and the wider Kurdish issue, and how much does he stir up trouble because he thinks he can gain advantage from, well, stoking up tension?
Yes, one to watch. Always good to have you on, Scott. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Bev.